And now, podcasting from the sun-scorched desert Southwest, weighing in at a combined total of 340 pounds, Brad Winchester, Tyler McDowell-Blanken, R. Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement Podcast. I am Brad Winchester, and with me is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell-Blanken. Tyler, I was looking around wondering why it hadn't started recording yet. That one took a second, threw me off my game. I'm glad I got through it. How are you?
I'm good, man. We had really busy weeks, respectively. I was all over the greater Phoenix Metro Valley area for college and career fairs. I think I totaled 7 in 5 days. So I was speaking with prospective college students and families, and it was all great stuff. It was just a lot of time on the road, and just by Friday, man, I was done. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Friday at 8 p.m. and I'd just be so happy going to bed right now. But a good week nonetheless, man. I'm so excited to see you, as you know I always am. I want to hear about your week. I just want to share what I know about your week already. Freya lost an additional tooth. You had another week of school, literally like working school, and also your own study school. And you have a huge show coming up that you wrote. I Will Conquer You Fear. So I'm good, man. I just had time on the road. I was tired by Friday, but all is well here. I want to hear how you're doing. I want to hear all these updates. I'm all ears.
Freya losing the tooth was great. She came running out and wanted to tell me that she pulled it out herself. The other one, she just kind of let go. They just came out when they came out. This one, she just was like, I'm done, and popped it out.
Like the G that she is.
Yep. Super pumped. She cannot do S's or THs now. It is hilarious.
I bet you're enjoying that.
She's running around. I do have an audio recording somewhere of her saying suffering succotash. That is amazing.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, it's
SmackDown.
I'll try to shoot that to you. Yes.
Amazing.
So I actually did it before the promo on SmackDown. So I feel like I was prognosticating a little bit, but her going suffering succotash is something else. Pretty incredible, man. And school, yeah. The Monday I took off to go to the theater the entire day to work, and I have no regrets. Got a lot done. Tuesday, I think I lack of sleep and stressed myself into a migraine, feeling sick. I was up almost all night. Went to work anyway later in the day, but I took the morning off to rest. Got in at about 2:30, and then was there for rehearsal until 6:15. And then it was just sort of 6:15, 6:30 every day this week as we prep for the show. We got a Monday rehearsal, hopefully a Tuesday rehearsal. I don't know. They might get the day off for Halloween. I really don't. I hope that doesn't happen for a variety of reasons. But then, Wednesday's the show. We have a show Wednesday and Thursday, 6 p.m. at the Marana High School Auditorium. $5 to get in. If you're watching this or listening to this, it should be really good. I'm excited for it. I'm not sure how it'll play out. I don't even know where I'm going to be during the show because I've been running around like crazy. So I have absolutely no idea what to expect. Everything has been nuts. I'm just excited for it to happen. And Tyler, speaking of being at the work week, this week we were doing a lot of stuff, getting stuff caught up in my classes, and felt pretty productive despite missing those 2 days, which I'm not ruling out. I'm not going to be there tomorrow either. So we'll see what happens. But before we got on air here, I said I'll save it for the pod, but we were talking about an old t-shirt from Marana High School when you and I both worked there, and it was Let's Get Dense, and it was about density as the theme for the year. And here's what it made me want to ask you, Tyler. Thinking back about your teaching career and hopefully future teaching career, when you are in the classroom and you go to these meetings, it's the beginning of the year. It's week 28 of the school year. It doesn't really matter. And we have these themes. How much, if at all, do you think about these themes at the beginning of the school year throughout the school year?
Little
outside of meetings where we have to talk about that. Okay.
Little to never. I remember back in our dense years. I remember that vividly, actually. And the
What a
idea,
sentence.
in case our listeners or viewers are like, what in the world are these guys talking about? The idea behind Let's Get Dense was let's get to know our students better on a deeper level where,
Mhm.
if we have a roster of 30 kids, we could tell you 3 to 5 facts about each of them because we've invested that time in building rapport with them. So great message, and I'm all here for it. But you brought up week 28, Brad. It made me smile. Yeah, by week 28, one would argue by week 14, even the theme
Yeah.
is like it's already just left. It's left my mind because we know that the year can be such a grind, and it's always worth it in the end. But between meetings and grades and planning and more meetings, it just gets lost. So while I appreciate a good premium cotton tee that inevitably shrunk on me, I can't believe I fit in a size medium back in 2018.
Yeah.
I don't think
I'm
I'm
with
going
you.
back. I don't think I'm going back to medium anytime soon. While I can appreciate a good premium 100% cotton tee, the theme, I'll remember it the first week, and then I'll probably reflect on it the last month of school. But all that time in between, I think it's it's not with me probably as much as it should have been. How about you?
Yeah, same thing here. It's not even that I don't think any of us actively want to go like, no, we don't want to do that. I think that's crazy. It's simply like I'm not thinking, oh, I got to know these 5 to 7 facts because I have a common lit assessment, 2 essays to grade, an IEP after school, the coaching or the directing or the whatever it might be that we also
Yeah,
have to
you
do.
and I both. Yeah, you and
Yeah.
I, theater for you, basketball for me. Like we did
Yep.
more than just the 9 to 4 gig, right?
And I think that's true of most teachers. I
Yes,
think almost
yes,
every teacher on campus is doing extra stuff. They're not just
yes.
doing that. I know math teachers that do math tutoring that aren't math tutors. They don't even get paid for it. They just stay after to help in case kids need it. Just have an additional spillover to offset how many people are there. And we got, English teachers that are cross country coaches, and we have social studies teachers that are also coaches and also running or co-running ACDEC. And there's just people all over the place that are doing all sorts of things.
It's
So
amazing. Many of
uh,
them are parents. I'm even speaking with a parent. Like
yeah, a lot
just
of us are
real
teachers
real
that are parents.
life
Yeah.
real life superheroes. I marvel at you and all the people we've worked with and you continue to work with.
Yeah, man. So yeah, when you're knee deep in unit 4, in second quarter, you're probably not going like, what was the theme for the year? Am I reflecting on that theme every single day? I will say this year we have growth goals, like we always do in our evaluation plans, and we have them posted in the classroom. So it's a nice little reminder that every day when I go in there and I look up, I can go, oh yeah, I got to make sure I'm doing that, because that is my goal for the year, and that has been really, really helpful. But that piece of paper has been a better reflection tool than anything I've ever had. And there's like a bunch of grammar errors on it, which makes me laugh every single time inside of a school. But Tyler, speaking of not being able to fit into a medium T anymore, there's a reason for that. For me, I've been not hitting the gym. For you, you've been hitting the gym. We got to talk about Trap Tales. So play the music.
Yes, about that time, Brad. You give me a lot of credit, man. I appreciate you. I've been trying. The weather is changing here, especially in the morning. So I have a habit of when the
Yes.
mornings get dark and cooler, my motivation to to get up and exercise before the day it definitely dissipates. But it's still pretty warm here, so I've been doing okay. I have a report for you. We need to discuss this on Trap Tales. So you may recall, Brad, the last installment, this was probably sometime in the summer.
Yeah.
I was telling you about the basketball court
Yes.
and how packed it gets. For a while, it was just me and maybe another person there, like 5:15 a.m. Jones. And there's multiple hoops, right? So it's no problem. Perfect amount of space. But last I told you, there is a local, I can only guess maybe AAU coach, who is now bringing his prodigies, and they are running a basketball camp at 5:15 in the morning. In fact, they get there at about 5 a.m., even before I'm there. So I was thinking to myself, okay, it's a new school year. Basketball season is starting this week. I think tryouts for most schools are this week. I don't know about MHS. So maybe this is just going to be a relic. It's a thing of the past. I don't have to worry about it. I couldn't be more wrong, Brad. Not only is the coach, who's seems like a cool dude in fairness to him, not only is the coach and his prized pupils, not only are they back, but he has more pupils, Brad. He has more prodigies somehow. This past week, I counted about 8 of them.
Oh my God.
And I brought this up. I specifically saved this memory in my mind to share with you right now. It was during the morning this week. I forget which day. And there was a young lady that came in. I would say she couldn't be older than maybe 10 or 11. A white girl with her mom. And right as they were walking in, Future Mask Off was playing, explicit version. So as they walked in and she's changing her shoes and whatnot, Future is rapping Percocet, Molly Percocet, chasing. And I'm thinking, and no one has an issue with this. The mom's cool with it. The coach is coaching the other 7 kids that are there. So I was just thinking to myself, Brad, this is an episode of Atlanta. This is life maybe is a simulation after all. What in the heck is going on here? And last thing I want to share, the coach is also upgraded in fairness to him. Now he has inflatables to mock like a defender who you need to drive past or hit a crossover on. So there are more pupils. There are more gimmicks on the court now. And there were a couple days this week where at 5:15, I arrived way after these people. So I had like a little sliver of the court now where I can just shoot like 6-foot jump shots, or else I'm in the way of the basketball club that's going on. So I'm not happy about it, but I left this week thinking to myself, if Freya ends up becoming a hooper, if she ends up playing basketball, I feel like you would be the supportive, loving dad that would be willing to take her to these 5 a.m. workouts. I love basketball, Brad. I was never committed enough to go to 5 a.m. workouts, especially not as a 10-year-old, but I feel like you're the type of dad that would make time. Maybe there will be a Tucson version or Marana version of this when Freya adopts the game, and you will end up taking her, and you will end up being the parent that will expose your kid to early basketball training and explicit Future rap songs.
I don't know about probably the last part, but she did say something. What did she say the other day that made me think that this is already happening? We were watching something. I think we were watching wrestling, and you know what I mean. It was on. People were present. I was watching, and I can't remember what was said, but it was bleeped out, and it was definitely right. Like, and then it was like, holy boop, and then Freya goes, I think they said, and I went, well, oh no.
That's a big moment. Oh my.
Yeah, that's not great.
What did you do? What did you say?
I sat there and went, and I believe Jess.
What did Jess do?
Jess went, yeah, they did, but you might know what they say, but please don't say that. That's an adult word, okay? And that's it. That was the end of it. She went, okay. Haven't heard her say it since, even though I know she knows now. And I think about that a lot. I'm probably going to be the one to take her. We want to get her. So let me backtrack. Yesterday, Jess had another event, kind of like the Fall Festival last Saturday, but this week it was up by Mission Base, and it was a smaller, more low-key event, but she had a lot of good contacts and a lot of people showed up. And they were in like a covered area, and right outside of that was a dance floor, and they were playing some music, and Freya was tearing it up out there. She didn't want to stop. So we're going to get her into dance, and that's kind of where we're going to start with this thing. She doesn't really have a lot of interest in playing. She likes playing hoops in the hallway, but I don't think she has any interest in actually doing it. She doesn't want to watch it if it's on, that kind of stuff. But she's 6. It's so hard to know. You know what I mean? So I loved wrestling when I was that age, but I think I loved wrestling because my brother loved it that age, and he was older than me. So there's a lot of reasons I was into it. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'll definitely be the one at the gym going like, what's wrong with these people? Why are they playing this music? Yeah. Or yelling really passive aggressive things in their general direction is probably what would happen.
Right. I think both things can be true. I can be valid in my feelings and me entering the stage in my life where I don't want to be around youngsters at inconvenient times, whether it's a high school football game supporting George Romero, promo of the week last week, or whether you're trying to get some solitude and some peace in the morning, which is no longer available. But I also think it's pretty cool that for so many of these kids, the majority that I see in the morning, the parents are dropping them off. Many even stay on the court and watch their kids go through this training. So for a parent to get up at the crack of dawn to take their 8 or 10-year-old for some basketball training, I think that's even if it's inconvenient for me, I think that's a pretty admirable amount of dedication.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. It reminds me again, I think we talked about this on a pod a long time ago about how when I'm on a trail hiking, I don't want to hear your crappy music coming through your JBL speakers. I'm out in nature.
Not the JBL.
Yeah, I'm
they got a good deal, Brad. They had a Best Buy reward certificate.
Throw it in the river. Tyler, there's no transition out of this. I'm feeling like a curmudgeon-y old person here. After talking about that, even though I fully agree with you, I still feel like a curmudgeon-y old person. Let's get into it. Hit me with your WWE question.
I was going to attempt to make a JBL transition, like JBL headphones to John Bradshaw Layfield.
Ding, 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 ding.
I wonder if he listens to Future. Probably not. He's more.
You were going to say GI.
Kenny Chesney. Yeah. I have a WWE question for you, though. So let's get into it. Bianca Belair declared that she is back to reclaim her title. LA Knight sat at the head of the table. Really enjoyed both of those segments.
Yeah.
And Crown Jewel is this Saturday. I want to ask you about a star we see every Monday night, though. As usual, Judgment Day opened and closed Monday Night Raw. It's remarkable to me still that the group has become the anchor of that show every single week. Brad, I think now is a perfect time to do my biannual check-in of how you're feeling about Rhea Ripley's current position. She's the leader of the most consistent faction in all of wrestling. She's even defending her title at Crown Jewel in that fatal 5-way match this weekend. How do you feel about her current run? And now that we're mere days away from Crown Jewel, do you have any concern that she drops the gold this weekend?
Yeah, I have concern that she drops the gold because there's a way to put it on somebody new, build a new star. I'm thinking it's not going to be Nia. God, I hope it's not Nia, even though this run's been much better than previous Nia runs. I don't want Nia to win. I would love for Shayna to get her first title, and Raquel could probably do something with it, but like, I don't know how you feel about Raquel right now, but I love watching her work. I don't care for almost anything else she's doing. I need heel Raquel back. This smiley back dimples Raquel, I don't care for. Haven't since she got called up. Like, this doesn't feel like the Raquel, the Hoss from NXT. Very, very similar to the way that Rhea got called up. Very similar. It's like, we're going to take everything good about that character and we're going to make you a good guy that smiles. And look at Rhea now. The Zoe Stark could also, I don't know, too soon, gets thrown around a lot. I don't know what that means. So I'm just going to say Zoe could take it and I'd be pumped. I would love to see Zoe Stark with the belt. I think that could be a ton of fun. I want Sheena to finally get it. Raquel would be fine with me. It would help her. I don't want Rhea to lose this belt. She is, if not the best thing in WWE right now, probably the best thing in women's wrestling across the board. Maybe one of the best things in all of wrestling. Well, it's definitely one of the best things in all of wrestling. Like, between her and Toni Storm right now, I love all the things they're doing. But this Rhea Ripley run has been one of the most generationally incredible runs that I can't think of a woman's talent that has done more than what Rhea has done. And I don't mean like cultural significance. I mean, like she's running a faction. She's important in all the brands. She is defending her championship. She's doing literally all of it. She is carrying shows right now. And I don't know that a woman's talent has done that solo ever. I can't remember anything. Together, we had the role models, but we never got to see them do it necessarily solo. Bailey did a lot of heavy lifting, but Bailey also did a lot of that heavy lifting without a belt. So it's hard to put them on the same in the same circle with in regards to this. This Rhea Ripley run is one of the best runs I've ever seen. I love everything she's doing. I love her look. I love her character. I love her matches. I have nothing negative to say about anything that Rhea Ripley is doing. I don't want her to drop this belt. I can see her doing it to build the other women, and I could see the other women pinning or submitting one of the other women. Rhea, if she loses, doesn't eat the pin at all, I think. But man, it's just all so good right now. I don't know what else to say.
Well said. Well, I've had the privilege of knowing how high you've been on Rhea for years. To me, this has undoubtedly, as a fan, been the greatest year in her career, from winning the Rumble to winning the title at WrestleMania, to seeing her, like you said, Brad, seeing her lead Judgment Day, a bunch of dudes, right? 3 dudes in particular. Finn Balor, multi-time champion, Damian Priest, Mr. Money in the Bank, Senor Money in the Bank, and then Dominic Mysterio.
Dom doesn't get booze without Rhea.
No,
right?
Absolutely. Just like what you said, she is responsible for, I believe, so much of why Dom has been working well.
Yeah.
But you also brought up the fact that we've seen her on NXT. We've seen her mentioned and actually live on our TV on Fridays. The run that she's on is really incredible. I'm so happy that she is having a title match this Saturday, because that's the one piece that's been missing for me. Is where are those signature feuds for her for the gold? I didn't want her being champ getting lost in the shuffle of Judgment Day business. And how many matches have we seen for Judgment Day where she's just on the outside looking intimidating or doing something cool? That's great because she's the leader, but I just think she deserves the spotlight. And I don't know, man. For Saturday, you could convince me that since she doesn't have to get pinned, this would be an ideal time for her to lose the gold. But I keep going back to what you said, Brad, that she is one of, if not the biggest star, not just in WWE, but in all of wrestling right now. And I think when you're at that level, you may not need gold, but I think there's something to be said for having your gold on a person of that magnitude. So I'm hoping she retains this weekend, but you mentioned the women in this match, and they're all pretty spectacular. Zoe Stark has been ready for years. I really want Raquel to get a character, like you said, aside from the back dimples.
Thank you. Yeah.
Because in NXT, I have the action figure somewhere here.
She was awesome, man.
When she was coming out in the trench coat looking thing,
yes,
and she had the gold, and she was doing the power bombs,
and she was just looking like angry. Yeah, like, give me that ferocious.
Yeah, she had that feud with Dakota Kai,
and she was partners with Dakota Kai,
and she was partners.
She was feuding with Rhea. Like, all of that was so good.
So I think WWE's in a really advantageous spot here, that if they want to transition to a new champion, I think they have very worthy contenders in this match. But I'm happy for you. I'm happy for us. I'm happy for all wrestling fans that we get to see Rhea shining the way she is, because this has been an incredible year for an absolutely incredible wrestler.
To your point, there haven't been very many matches. I was trying to figure out like why that is too, but I think you just brought it up. The character, the lacking of a character with Raquel. Who on that list besides Nia hasn't she already fought at some point?
Right.
So it's just running out of talent that doesn't have a new angle to have that match, or that new character to have that match, and figuring out who that could be. I think they might have even missed something there with Zelina in Puerto Rico. That probably would have been a good time. And I don't know. I just love her so much. So I would love to see her get a run. But at the same time, they're probably the strongest people, right? Like, is that the most powerful group out of there? Like, Nia, Rhea, and Raquel are probably the 3 most powerful women in there. Charlotte might be in that mix too, but
I would say so. Yeah.
but Zoe Stark is definitely in that mix. And Shayna is probably not as strong as the other people, but she could definitely handle everybody in that ring.
Yes.
Like she probably just one
I
piece
forgot to mention her.
3/4
Yeah.
of them. So
Yep. She's very good. Queen of
and that's
Spades.
why I'm like Zoe doing something and Shayna catching her in the Kurofuda clutch, and then it's over. I can see that happening.
Yeah.
While Rhea and Raquel and Nia hoss it on the outside. So that's why I'm like, I don't know what happens here, but I would love to see that. I think that would be amazing. I also don't want Rhea to lose because that would be sad. But I'm sure we'd all end up feeling okay with it eventually on Instagram. So let's move on to my WWE question, Tyler, before it gets too thirsty around here. So there aren't always, I was watching this and I was noticing some things. There aren't always clear paths to why wrestlers have matches in WWE. So outside of title opportunities or contender opportunities, some of the matches just sort of feel like they're there. Like there's a match. We don't know why it's occurring. They're not really feuding. It's not part of a storyline. There's no stakes. What's missing then from these WWE booking or from the WWE booking of these non-title matches, specifically in the mid card, I would say? Or am I just out of my mind and I'm just wrong here?
I don't think it's the latter. When you were presenting this question, my first thought was Bronson Reed versus Akira Tozawa from Monday.
Thank you.
And
that's the one that made me go like, why is this happening?
Oh wow. Okay, this is good. On one hand, I'm grateful that Bronson Reed is on our TVs
and Tozawa. I love Tozawa.
Yes. And
now
I think Bronson Reed kind of fits into that Lance Archer mold in AEW where he's picking up these wins, but I'm waiting for him to have a signature victory, right? Gunther beat him. It seems like in any big, I guess pun intended, big matches Bronson Reed has been in, he doesn't pick up the wins. He can beat up on dudes 24/7, but when it comes time, like when gold's on the line or when something is really meaningful, he hasn't quite gotten over that hump yet. Mm-hmm. For Akira Tozawa, and I promise I'm going to answer your question here, I think, well, we know, particularly for Raw, just the amount of content they have to provide. I think inevitably it just becomes hard to have every match matter when there's just a lot of time to fill, and I think as a fan, my investment level it's kind of questionable when I have to sit down and watch a 3-hour show. But you're not wrong. I think you need to position these wrestlers to be Akira Tozawa, for example. He's really funny and he's been great these past few weeks.
Yeah. So good. Backstage, especially.
Yes. But I want the Akira Tozawa from, say, 205 Live or that Evolve show when he main evented against Adam Cole that was on the network. Mm-hmm. Like, give me that Tozawa versus Bronson Reed. It seemed like this was more just, Akira continues to be a comedy act. And, of course, Bronson Reed is going to beat him. So it's not new. We know particularly on Raw, you just need to fill time. So let's get two talented dudes. And there's no real storyline here. We know who's going to win. Let's move on. Okay, that took up 8 minutes, and then we're on to the next one. I just want to see some of these really talented performers be positioned better. And I'm all here for comedy, but I just think because Akira Tozawa can be a comedic wrestler, or comedic character, doesn't mean that he should be. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure if I answered your question, Brad, but I think your observation is not wrong. I think it's a thing that happens, that we're just getting a lot of matches without story. But to WWE's credit, I think AEW has been really guilty of this at times too. So it seems like we have certain programs where we put all our energy into and we put all of the packages into, but then there are other matches where we just don't have a storyline. It's just a match for the sake. It's just a match for the sake of a match. And even if the match is good, even if the performers in it are people we really like, it just hits different when you actually have a story that you can invest in. So I think both companies are guilty of that because they just have a lot of content, a lot of hours to film, and inevitably, I don't think they invest the storyline time that we would like.
I think to your point there, all they have to do in WWE and in AEW, I can look past a lot of that because when they come out, they put their record up and remind us that their wins matter. In WWE, the wins don't matter, But commentary could simply go like, they're vying for eventually to become a contender for a belt. That's all you got to say. And some people might go, well, it's wrestling, it's scripted, it doesn't matter. And it's like, yeah, but it's scripted. So script it. Like it's scripted, which implies storytelling. This isn't storytelling. This is the race during an intermission at a hockey event where two frat boys get on big wheels and have to race around the ice rink to just fill time until the game resumes. And I don't know, man. Like I struggle with it a little bit in both companies, to your point, because there's squash matches in AEW, but they always do that so they can build up the win record and go like, I've won my last 5 matches. I want to be able to do this thing. Where in WWE, it's just, it happens and then everybody forgets. And that doesn't matter because it's not part of a win-loss record. It's just sort of, you killed Tozawa for no reason. We all knew you were going to do it. What was that supposed to help you with? So I don't know. Maybe it's to remind us that Bronson's there, get him on air, but I don't know. He could have just, but he could have just beats people up backstage. There's no reason not to just do that, because if you're going to have a wrestling match, what is the purpose of a wrestling match where other people were like, I just want to beat your ass. So let's get in the wrestling ring. Why don't you just beat his ass?
That's true. That's
WWE
true.
does that all the time.
Yeah.
And that's the part where I'm like, just fight him back there. Like, what's the difference at this point?
I'm thinking of Kevin Owens' punch from Friday when he took
the double punch. Yeah.
No, I'm telling you, I can punch both of you in just one, and then he, like, that was well done. It didn't take up that much time.
No, it was awesome, and it got everybody there, and it was a memorable segment. It was really funny. It didn't need to be a squash match. At the same time, I get like your people in the arena got to have a show, but then what was that? Most of that, if you timed out entrance times and match time, did we really need that? We could have just played entrance music and just sat there. I don't understand why some of those things happen. AEW's guilty of a lot of other problematic things for their programming, where it's just like, oh, look, a women's match. And it's going to get the least amount of time on the card, and it's not going to be for any reason, or let's just do a women's match that has all the women in it so we can get them on screen for 8 minutes. It's just, they got a lot of problems over there too, but at least outside of the women's division, usually I can understand why the match is happening. Where in WWE, this is a weird thing too. I noticed like their tag matches almost always seem like it's to potentially vie for the tag titles.
Does seem like that. You're right.
The singles matches are just like singles matches.
Yeah. What? 100%.
I don't even know. They're just happening for.
Yeah. It's a huge discrepancy for sure. For sure.
Well,
Brad,
I was going to say, like, let's transition out of this.
Man, speaking of
women's matches,
speaking of storylines that we can actually get invested in, we just passed the 5-year anniversary of a really amazing show. It is time. We're bringing back an oldie but a goodie, an absolutely iconic GI segment. It's time for Back in the Day. Let's hit the music.
And now it's time to get old school. Prepare yourselves for Back in the Day.
So back in the day, Brad, 5-year anniversary of WWE Evolution. This took place on October 28th, 2018, ironically in the Nassau Coliseum in New York, where AEW World's End is going to take place in December. But this match was historic for many reasons. The obvious being this was WWE's first ever all-women's event. It's pretty shocking that we haven't had a second yet. We'll perhaps get into that in a few minutes, but I just want to run down the card and then hear your thoughts and reflections on the show 5 years later, particularly the talent that was involved. Some are with the company and some are not. So we saw Rhea Ripley. Speaking of Rhea, she defeated Dakota Kai to retain her NXT UK Women's Championship. Trish Stratus and Lita defeated Mickie James and Alicia Fox. They were accompanied by Alexa Bliss. Nia Jax won the 20 women battle royal for a women's championship match. She eliminated Ember Moon to pick up that victory. Another familiar name here, Brad. Toni Storm defeated Io Sky, then Io Shirai, to become the Mae Young Classic winner. Sasha Banks, you may have heard of her. Bayley and Natalya defeated the Riot Squad in a 6-woman tag team match. Of course, the Riot Squad was Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, and Sarah Logan. Final 3 matches here. Shayna Baszler defeated Kairi Sane to become the NXT Women's Champion. Becky Lynch defeated Charlotte Flair in a nearly 30-minute last woman standing match to retain her WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. And then finally, the main event of the show, Ronda Rousey defeated Nikki Bella to retain her WWE Raw Women's Championship. Brad, here we are 5 years later discussing this event. Memories, thoughts, and when can we get Evolution 2?
I don't know when we can get Evolution 2. It's long overdue. NWA has done more since then than WWE. Rhea as NXT UK Women's Champ, beating Dakota Kai in 4 minutes and 21 seconds on a dark match is not something that I expected to see on here. I did not watch this live, and in all fairness, I've only ever seen clips. I've never watched the whole event. I need to go correct that. Looking at the card, I don't know what it looks like, but I imagine the kind of co-main events should have been flip-flopped, with Charlotte and Becky probably putting on an absolute banger for 28 minutes and 40 seconds.
For sure, yeah.
But Trish Stratus and Lita defeating Mickie James and Alicia Fox, that's a match right there. Nia defeating Ember Moon, Athena Palmer, no longer with the company. Toni Storm and Io Shirai. I have to go seek this out. I'm sure that was awesome.
Yes, you do.
The next one, I forgot Sarah Logan was in the Riot Squad, because when I hear Riot Squad, I only associate Ruby and Liv with the Riot Squad. But I don't know if this was Sarah Logan officially in the Riot Squad or just helping out at that time?
No, she was.
Okay.
Yeah,
she was in that stuff.
She was an official card carrying member. Yep.
Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah, but then she was released and Riot Squad became effectively Ruby and Liv. But yeah, it started out with the 3 of them.
So Kairi, was this right before her call up that
right.
she dropped it? And then she partnered up. I guess partnered up is the best way to put it, right?
The Sky,
with
Sky
Asuka.
Pirates, right?
Yeah. Yep. Which sounds like might be coming back.
I sure hope so.
I hope so too. I think it would be awesome.
Yeah, I need that merch as well. I regret not getting a tee back then. But again, the tees shrink on us, Brad. So that's maybe for
double extra large, and then wash it 3 times, and we'll have the size that fits. Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah, so I hope we get it soon. Is the answer with Triple H now ahead of creative? Maybe he goes, "Hey, Steph, you want to do that thing again?" And then it just happens.
We have
plenty of talent, man.
Yes, and my recollection is chatter on the IWC was that perhaps this wasn't the most profitable event for them. So because there wasn't necessarily a huge monetary incentive, they decided to scrap it. But Brad, if we can get Fastlane and some of these other non-Big 4, Big 5 pay-per-views or PLEs, we have to get Evolution. I would have to think, Triple H and Stephanie are having these discussions, or even Nick Khan. I think not only the goodwill that you would get from the fan base and just general media, but the talent that you have. Last week, you and I spent several minutes discussing the sheer talent of the women's roster in WWE, including Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. You certainly have the talent. You could definitely develop the storylines, and I just think it would be a massive success. I don't know if we're going to get it, but I sure hope we do in 2024.
I'm gonna run down the people that were eliminated here: Peyton Royce, Billie Kay, Molly Holly, Kelly, Tori Wilson, Sonya Deville, Alundra Blaze, Maria Kanellis, Lana, Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke, Michelle McCool, Naomi, Carmella, Ivory, Asuka, Tamina, Zelina Vega, Ember Moon. Those were all the people that were eliminated from that tournament. All those women were on the card for that battle royale. Here's a thought. Okay, we had All In, right? TK could easily put together an all women's event and pick people from AEW, get Impact involved, do a joint venture where it's a big event, AEW TNA, and have them do that with New Japan. And then you have like Julia versus Jordan Grace.
Man. Come on now.
Trinity versus Tony Storm, and like you can have a
Mercedes
ridiculous
whenever she's healthy.
Mercedes versus whoever, like
versus Jamie Hayter. Can we just get everybody back and healthy?
Exactly. Like there's so many women out there that are not in WWE that they could easily make a full card like this.
So true. That
could be incredible. Like there's so much good talent. Heidi Howitzer could be in there, and it could be awesome. There's a lot of reasons to be hopeful that this happens. NWA Empower. Maybe they'll do it again and then they'll broadcast it on the CW, Tyler. Who knows? Even though I have not watched the CW in years, maybe it'll happen.
Maybe. I sure hope so. Well, speaking of AEW, let's go ahead and get into that portion of our episode here. What I learned this week in AEW, Brad, Hangman Page needs to install a better home security system. MJF and Kenny Omega are two of the best wrestlers in the world, unquestionably. Mm-hmm. And I'm nearly positive that Miro ended Ryan Nemeth's wrestling and potentially acting career. Oh, and Ric Flair also appeared. Here's what I need to ask you about, though. It's spooky season in AEW, Brad. Mm-hmm. We saw another Danhausen vignette, which I actually have not asked you about, surprisingly, off air as well. Abaddon returned to challenge Hikaru Shida. But I specifically want to ask you about Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale, two of my favorite women in all of wrestling. We know that Julia Hart misted both of them weeks ago, and Julia Hart also appeared on Collision with House of Black. Julia Hart misted both of them weeks ago. We see sort of their eyes and the darkening of their eyes, and in terms of Sky Blue's behavior, it's definitely changed, and she's leaning to more kind of an aggressive, mysterious heel. Willow is still Willow, but we're not really sure what this is going to lead to. So here's my question for you. Sky, Willow, Julia, where do you think this storyline is headed? Are we going to get a heel Willow and Sky tag team? Is Julia going to start her own faction? Are we just going to get, say, Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale versus Sky Blue and Julia Hart? Where do you think this is headed? Where would you like it to go? And can we just talk about how amazing these two are?
Yeah, I love them both. I'm not a fan of Sky Blue's eye black makeup at all. Not that drippy makeup looks like shit. It's just Asuka's old makeup, and it has no consistency with what they've been doing in House of Black. Like they've all had this smeared stuff, right? Every one of them. So why does that look so clean? It's weird. It doesn't make sense. So my guess is that either that's on purpose and we're going to get something new and different out of them, or it's just a lack of attention to detail and this just happening. Because Julia's was, I don't remember what she did at first, but we remember it was kind of the black eye, and then it got a little bit progressively worse, and eventually we're here. I need that to happen with Sky Blue. I think that would be incredible. I think that would be a great boost for her character. I think Willow is too positive for all that, and she's going to beat it. But her clothes. So that was the thing that I noticed at first when they were all backstage doing that segment, and Willow was talking and Sky was there and wearing different clothes and looking great, and having the eye makeup looked cool. It just wasn't consistent with House of Black. Willow's one eye being a little bit darkened, but her clothes being neutral colors or like grays and stuff. I feel like they're hinting at that, but she also still seems like Willow. Willow was like the in-between force, which is why I feel like, okay, she's got one black eye and the other one's fine. Where Sky Blue, it's coming out of both eyes. So Sky jump ship. I don't think Willow does, but maybe we get a shift in her character. So where do I think it goes? I have no idea, but Sky joining House of Black would make sense. After that, I don't know what they do.
Yeah, it would. And even for Willow's entrance, particularly, I think this was on Collision, or no, Rampage. I'm thinking that 4-way
Mhm.
that Abaddon won. Willow's entrance is still very much Willow, and I just think there's so much still to be done with Willow as a babyface, particularly her winning gold. TK, I need that next year
Yep.
as a babyface champ. I agree with you, Brad. I think Willow could pull it off if she were
Sure.
to join
Absolutely.
Julia and Sky, and it would be really kind of mesmerizing and cool to see what that would even look like. But I just think there's more to be done with Willow as a babyface, and I would like to see that. Although I'm not opposed to her joining the dark side. Yeah, I definitely think that it's definitely more kind of Sky and Willow being at odds than perhaps
Mhm.
joining forces with Julia in this case.
So Tyler, we got to talk about the main event. We have to. So I'm glad you brought it up. Kenny versus MJF, an all-timer. I texted you early on in the match. It's a little sloppy out of the gate. People were slipping around and stuff. And then, whew, boy, did that match pick up. This is one of the best matches I've ever seen on AEW TV. It's just incredible. So how do you feel about putting these very clearly pay-per-view caliber matches on TV? Do you think it should have been switched out for Kenny at the pay-per-view for Switchblade on TV? And because it wasn't, do you think it was telegraphing a title switch?
Wow. This is probably due to me being not as hip to Switchblade's career prior to AEW,
Mhm.
but MJF versus Kenny Omega feels like a much bigger pay-per-view match to me than MJF versus Switchblade Jay White. Again,
I agree.
respectfully, I'm absolutely here for it, Brad. I love it. I think putting MJF versus Kenny as the match for Collision. I don't know what the ratings are. I know we can get really lost in ratings talk, but I'm sure it did a great number for Collision. The match was amazing. I appreciate you giving me the heads up about it before I tuned in. The match was great. No surprise. MJF pulled out some new moves, and Kenny Omega was Kenny Omega. So I'm absolutely here for it. I have no issues with it whatsoever. You could argue, this could be the main event for World's End in New York, and you're going to sell pay-per-views and X, Y, and Z, which is true. But I think sometimes engaging in fan service is totally okay. This felt like it came out of the blue, but I was here for it. I don't think it sacrifices anything. I think Full Gear will end up being a really loaded card. And I'm sure MJF and Switchblade are going to have an amazing match there. And good for Switchblade to get that rub for being in the main event. We've been calling for him, Brad, to
For a
be
while,
used in a
yeah.
really meaningful way. That first month or two before Collision, but after when he was signed, he was just kind of toiling in obscurity.
Yeah.
So I think they played this perfectly. Frankly, I love what we got for the Collision main event. I think the right guy won. MJF retained, and I also think Switchblade definitely deserves that huge spotlight he's going to get in LA at Full Gear, and he may even win that match. Man, I'm not convinced yet that MJF is winning. I think he's going to win, especially with World's End being in New York. But I think that match is still super intriguing.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I love having these on TV every once in a while. Some of my favorite matches were on TV, and they usually involve Bryan Danielson. But we got a 60-minute Iron Man match with him. We got him versus Kenny. We get I can't really say an Iron Man match. It went 60 with Hangman. That was TV, right? Yeah. So we had
Post TV. Yep.
we've had some really great matches on there. This was one of my favorites. I love everything about this storyline about Jay White taking the belt and coming after MJF and saying, I've won championships. I've been the greatest in the world. You need to prove it to me before I give you this belt back. And then Wardlow looking on like, I want it and I'm going to kill you. And Samoa Joe wanting the rematch. And like everybody's coming for MJF. His friends are gone. The devil is somebody. We don't know who. I really hope it's CM Punk. I would find that hilarious.
Oh man. Okay. I haven't asked you about that. You're hoping it's Phil, huh?
Chicago Phil. I doubt it is. It's probably since Ryan Nemeth was killed, maybe Nick Nemeth comes in his place and takes over. Who knows? That would be
Perry, maybe?
Jack Perry makes the most sense given the size of the person that's been in there. Right. I wouldn't hate that.
But it doesn't hit you the same way as some of these other people.
No. Okay. Jack Perry is not up here.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like his stock has dropped quite a bit. since going. I thought becoming Jack Perry instead of Jungle Boy would have raised his stock a lot, and it did for a time, and then it just sort of petered out, especially after being suspended and then just being on vacation for a very long time. It seems like it's been like 2 months since we've seen him.
Yeah,
So
yeah, since London.
it becomes pretty forgettable. You know, like that character isn't exactly somebody we remember easily. I think I don't know what's going to happen with these matches with MGF and his title reign, and that's the best part about it. Is I just don't know. It feels like they're telegraphing it, but there's always that doubt, like, oh, maybe they're not. Maybe they're going to do something else. So I have no idea what's going to happen, and I love every second of that.
Yeah, based on the graphics and just kind of the dystopian vibe I'm getting from World's End, I could see a multi-man match for MJF's title to main event. And maybe that's the show where the devil gets revealed, and then we're heading into a new calendar year with some fresh storylines. But yeah, man, AEW did a lot of things good this week. And like you, Brad, I just enjoy having these big matches on TV. If TK is going to make us shell out $50 every month now for pay-per-views, the least they could give us is some pay-per-view level main event matches on cable TV. We need it at this point because my bank account's suffering, Brad. We got another AEW pay-per-view. It's going to be great, I'm sure, but put this thing on Max, please.
Yes, thank you. We did get Hikaru Shida trying to take out Abaddon, flying like a witch on a broom off the top turnbuckle.
That was good. And the pumpkin,
huge pop.
The crowd,
the pumpkin.
The crowd popped with the pumpkin.
Yes,
great.
Chanting
Wrestling
for pumpkins.
cool.
Wrestling is ridiculous. I love every second of it, but not as ridiculous as us watching and interfering with somebody's personal life. Tyler, it's once again to talk Golden Batch on a Rose from Tyler. So let's play the music.
And now, for a rose from GI's most eligible bachelor.
Here we go. I've been waiting all episode to discuss this.
Likewise.
I got quick notes, Brad. Both you and I tuned in. We watched every single minute of Golden Bachelor. Here we go. Faith got the individual date and thus the rose. So her and Gary really kind of rekindled their spark, and she got that rose right off the bat, and that was confirmation that she's going to make it to hometowns. We saw that Leslie is feeling insecure. She's starting to get worried about where she fits into all this as she sees Gary, making romantic connections with the other women. Teresa's Teresa. She's still here. She's still my homie. But surprisingly, Brad, I did not realize this. Hometowns are going to feature 3 women instead of the typical 4. So thus, 3 women did not get roses this week. And they are as follows. Susan is gone. Sandra, sadly, got the boot as well. And then this was a huge shocker to me, Brad. Ellen, the pickleball co-captain, was also eliminated. So our final 3 are, in fact, Faith, Leslie, and Teresa. Gary is heading to their hometowns this week. We also put out a poll on X. You can follow us at GIPod19. Brad, the reach of Golden Bachelor is incredible. Whenever we put out a Bachelor-related poll, it just does numbers for us, man. Like, we're talking, I don't know if we should confess this, but we're talking like triple what we usually get in terms of responses for wrestling content. Double, sometimes triple. There's just a huge fan base for this show. So we put out a poll. We asked, who is your favorite to win it all? Teresa, Leslie, or Faith? Here were the results before I kick it to you. Teresa received 16% of the vote. Leslie received 34%. And the overwhelming winner, Faith, received 54% of the votes, Brad. What did you think of this episode, and how are you feeling heading into hometowns?
I feel like I don't understand what hometowns means. And also, I don't know anything. Everybody's like, it's hometowns. Oh my God, it's this person. I'm like, I don't know who the hell any of these people are, what's going on. I'm watching this all for the first time because I don't like this stuff. And yet I can't take my eyes away from the car crash. So here's how I feel. I said Leslie, and part of it is because I feel like we don't know what was cut out in the editing process, because I doubt Leslie's the only one that's struggling here. And then Faith, was my favorite at the beginning, like since the beginning. But I don't know. Leslie just might have this upper hand. Faith, their interaction seemed a little bit weird, even though they had a great day and a great date and all that stuff. I don't think Teresa has a shot.
No,
like, not even a little bit.
It's a 2-woman race.
Yeah, it's Leslie and Faith. I'll say this. I'm looking at the cast. I can't call them a cast. Contestants. Ellen's gone. Who else left? April, I think, had to leave, right?
Yes.
Because of her leg.
Yes.
So that saved an elimination because she's auto eliminated. 2 auto eliminations in this show. And then, unless you count, well, I guess you can't count Kimmel's aunt.
I remember
all brunettes left. So I'm looking at this going, maybe Gary's got a type. I don't know.
I think so. And he struck me as a blonde type of guy, but I just completely misread him.
Well, his wife was a brunette, right?
Yes,
so
that's right.
I don't know. So yeah, he's got a type. I don't know which type. I don't know if he skews for somebody that he's more aligned with interest wise, but it also seems like he's like, you know what I want? I want a younger person too. I'm going to skew a little bit young here. Leslie, I don't remember if this is accurate or not, but I think if she's not the youngest, she's one of the youngest contestants that was on the show. 64. Yep.
Yeah, I think Faith might be 61. I think Faith might be.
Is she younger?
But Leslie also presents very young. She's a fitness instructor. She's very lively, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know what'll happen. I don't know. All I saw was the thermonuclear Gary meltdown, where he's on the ground trying to breathe, and I feel for that man. Putting your trusting the process. This is like online speed dating where he's just going no, yes, no, yes, and then okay, those were good, yes, no. I can't even imagine. I can't fathom that. It also all feels very icky to me, but whatever. Live your lives. I'll be tuning in to find out what happens. It's probably going to be Faith. Leslie's given me this feeling that it's going to be her, though. It's definitely not going to be Teresa. No,
you're spot on, man. I could see a world where Gary picks Leslie for sure. And to your point, Brad, the editing, that's the last thing I'll say. You're so right about the editing. We have to consider how they're producing this show and delivering it to us. Maybe this is just a huge pump fake that we left last episode, of course, thinking Faith was the odds-on favorite because she got the first date, she got the rose, whereas Leslie was feeling insecure. But maybe this is just it's a pump fake, it's a trick because perhaps Leslie ends up getting that final rose down the road. It's definitely between one of those two. I hope Teresa, her heart isn't fully broken because I think that's incoming this week, that she's going to get the boot, or we're just going to get like the beginning stages of that. But yeah, man, I'm going to be tuning in as well. Hometowns are a huge deal in Batch Nation, and I think we're in store for a good one here.
Yeah, it should be good. Tyler, what did we miss?
We missed a few things. I got 2 quick notes. First, in terms of Hollywood, we lost two great ones. Richard Roundtree of Shaft fame and Matthew Perry of Friends fame. Both tragically passed away this past week. So that's incredibly sad, Brad. I know you really love Friends, and obviously Matthew Perry was a pivotal part of that show. Shaft was a bit before my time, but just of such importance to the culture. And obviously Richard Roundtree did more than Shaft, but just really lost 2 great ones, and that's just sad to me, for lack of a more thoughtful way to put it. What did not make me sad, though, was Arizona sports this past weekend, Brad. Oh, my gosh. We got to talk about it. U of A and ASU both won huge football games, big upsets for both squads. The Phoenix Suns beat the Golden State Warriors and the Utah Jazz. They did not beat the Lakers this week, sadly, this past week. But I believe they're 2-1 as we're recording this episode. And then finally... Yeah, and yes, there we go. Yeah. I've been hearing about the Pistons. And then I buried the lead here, Brad. The Arizona Diamondbacks, Diamondbacks, did not only advance to the World Series, but they are tied right now, as of this recording, 1-1 with the Texas Rangers. You could argue they should be up 2-0 right now, but we'll save that for another podcast. It's a huge deal. I can't even tell you, Brad, how much Diamondbacks merch I've seen over the last week. Hats, tees, Instagram posts, Facebook posts. The city is really buzzing for this team. It's a total underdog squad as well. And it's a really cool time to be in the Valley to see the excitement around this. But those are my notes. How about you? What did we miss?
Yeah, I have D-backs on here as well. I also have Matthew Perry. I also put Richard Mole down, who he passed recently. I saw it from Mark Hamill's tweet or his zeet. His contributions to the industry was he was the Two-Face voice actor for Batman the Animated Series. It just seems like a lot of that cast is going away, and it's starting to make me feel very old. Marana Flag Football. Speaking of Arizona sports, shout out to the Marana Flag Football, the girls team. They made it to the quarterfinals. They lost 21-20 to Mountain Ridge this weekend.
Get at it. That's my high school. That's where I went.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. 21-20?
21-20, Mountain Ridge moving on. So you better check it out. Because playoffs are going to be up by you.
That's exciting.
And Spider-Man 2 finished the game, finished the story. Unbelievable storytelling. I love that game. At some point I gotta get your opinion about the Miles fit for the end of the game. And then Clay Travis is
I know this one.
It's human scum putting $1 million bounty out there to say WNBA All-Star team, I think is what he said, couldn't beat a high school basketball team, boys basketball team of his choosing. I don't understand why you would even put that out there, let alone like what are you proving? You're just hurting people. You're either going to go like, oh, they were only able to beat a basketball team if they win, and if they lose, it's a bad look all around. No good can come from this. He's a piece of crap, and he's discounting the talent, size, and speed of all these professional women. And I wish nothing but a bad day upon him.
Absolutely. I hope he steps on Legos today. He's clearly just doing it for the clicks. Not to mention, not only are these women amazing on their own, but they'll often practice with men as well. I know our college team did that. I know the Mercury were even looking for men to join the practice squad years and years ago. So yeah, this dude is an absolute just scumbag.
Yeah, he's awful.
He's awful. Yeah, absolutely. What's not awful, though, Brad, is our website that you do an amazing job of curating. You can check out our articles on wrestling, pop culture, and much more by visiting said webpage at gimmickinfringementpod.com. We thank you so much for being here, and we hope you'll join us again for the next edition of GI. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.